Well, today we're going to be working with Midnight Jewel's Artful card kit, and I've got some new things to show you and something I'm kind of wondering if I went over the top on this one. So please, you can let me know. Come play with us. Well, like all Artful card kits, Midnight Jewels comes with die cuts. In fact, there are 30 of them. They're on 2 sheets. They just pop right out. And there are also 6 sheets in here that are double-sided, and you can work with all of them, and I'll show you what I've done. And there are ideas on the package. However, as usual, I would have done some extra ones just to share with you. So let's get to our first card. And this is it. So this is, we'll get an even closer. This is 5 inches by 6.5, maybe not that close. Okay. Now, can you see right here, there's something going on, and that's really kind of fun. So let me show you what's happening. So the sheet that I used is this one. Now, it's similar to that very first one that you saw. And the reason that I chose this one is because it wasn't used on the packaging. So just wanted to give you something else. And as you know, my favorite tool is this. It's a piece of acetate where I've placed our 5 by 6.5 inch card on it. I've gone around it with a permanent marker. That way I can kind of figure what I want to do with the papers. And that works out nicely. So this is the sheet I'm starting with. And I wanted to put it in the center of my card, so I did that. So this is 6 inches by 4.5, so it comes in 1/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. Now, to get this really pretty glittery look, here's what I did. I took another sheet of acetate, you know, they're my favorite thing lately, and I placed it over, let me pull the paper out. I placed it over the paper and simply traced around it. And that's when I got my half moon. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Then I placed this onto a sheet of the glitter cardstock. So it is clear glitter. And if you have seen this before, let me get a corner where I can pull it up. It has the glitter embedded. So it's like this. It's adhesive on the back. It is really neato. And even when you crease it like that. So what I did is I took this and I took my sheet and I placed it on the glitter. And then I did use extra sticky tape just to hold down the piece, just 2 corners, just 2 little strips, just so that it wouldn't go wobbling, because then I used my scissors to cut out the moon. And so then I had 1 piece. So then I simply pulled that off and placed it on top of the matching moon. How pretty is that? I thought that worked really nicely. I was very, very happy with that. Now the other thing I did is with the die cuts, let me go back to my sheet. There it is. I used this die cut, and it is the wishing you happiness. But I kind of didn't want the sun to show because this was all about the moon. So I simply placed it right over the moon. So what you get is this kind of starburst back there. And I was pleased with doing that. So just if there is a piece on the art that, you know, maybe doesn't work for what you're doing, feel free to put a die cut on top of it. And I foam taped that in place. Then, in order to have my jewels, you can see them, I went to the Jewel Dazzles. These are the purple ones. Now, this is the jewel picker. And I have to say, I know Lene is absolutely in love with it, but I hadn't done much with it. So this time I wanted to do that. So I ended up, let's see, I think it's helpful if you see kind of the before and after. So you can see right here, there's the art. So I simply put different sizes of the Jewel Dazzles on top of them, including on top of the stars. And I did that all through the whole piece. And I just wanted to have an extra pizzazz going on. Okay, so that's the only reason for it. Now, I have had a couple of people question how you use the jewel picker on Dazzles. And the trick is to, excuse me. So the jewel picker has two ends, a bigger end and a narrower end. They're covered up with a cap. And in order to make it work well, you just go into the dazzle, and I'll just do a medium-sized one, and you kind of push down. So it's going to then relieve it from the backing material. And then you can just pick it up and place it. And so that works nicely. You can use the pen knife, which I use quite often, but I thought this was clever, and I'll be using this on something else in a little bit too. So we'll just save that. So that's giving me a bling of purple to match my purple background. It's also giving me glitter, easily done into my moon. Now, it's kind of hard to tell on that. Let's see, let me put this on a white. Okay, you can see that I took the violet ink pad, and I didn't use a blending brush. This time I simply went right along the edges. I didn't want too much of it showing, but I did want something just to define that space. So that's what I did on the front. Now, on the inside of this card, I wanted to do something a little different. So this is the bottom part of that same sheet, as you can see right here. So it's right there. But I also wanted to add something a bit different. So I went into the pink glitter, and right here, and cut a piece. Now, I didn't cover the whole card because that's what was done on the front. So I simply did a piece like this. The directions are down below. You can see the measurements perfectly. I'm going to leave this out so you can see the before and after and see if you like that. So the Dream Big is another of the die cuts, so that I added right here. And this piece is smaller, as you can see. It's not the same distance on either side. It's kind of offset. But the Dream Big goes over both of them, and that's foam taped in place. I wanted a different look with this piece because even though it's on the same sheet, it's much more pink than the one at the top is. I felt a lot more purple. So that's why I used the purple dazzles. This time I used the silver pearl, and same thing. So you can see how that just, I think it just drapes and accents the artwork very nicely. So pretty simple to do, and that's how I always like to start with my first card. So there you go. Now we'll go to the second one, and this one is here. So I've added some different things. This was actually close to the last card that I made, and this is using, bring this out. So it's using this sheet. Now, interestingly, I did not use the artwork on the front. I used it on the inside. But let me show you what this is doing on the front. So it is the back side of this. You can see the green area. And I elected to use the corner punch because the die cuts I was using is this one. I just thought that that really called for it, so to reproduce that curve. And with the punch, this is nifty. Crafter's Companion came up with this. And each corner, or excuse me, each side does a different sized corner. So they go from larger to smaller. So it just kind of does whatever you want. Obviously, I use the larger one. And the measurements are shown on the punch. So probably the only punch that we still use, but it's a good one. So I cut this paper and then punched the corners, got that in place. And then I went with the silver glitter because it works so well with the word sparkle and also the Midnight Jewels name. So I just thought that worked beautifully. So you can see I did a smaller piece, really just focusing on this die cut. So glued that die cut down. If you have any trouble gluing to glitter or any of the other specialty papers, you certainly can use the extra sticky tape. That will work nicely. Then, so those two are glued down, and then I foam taped this greeting in place. then I had this area, and I really wanted to do something kind of fun with it. So out of the glitter, I did the Shine Bright, and this is the Shine Bright cutting die. So that was fun to put, and I thought worked really nicely with the words, so everything matches. Now for the inside, okay, so there is the top of the sheet. And I did the exact same process as I described in the first card. Now, just to give you a little bit more information, okay, so here is the acetate, and you can see that I had it placed like that on top of the glitter. And there's what I meant by having some extra sticky tape just to hold it in place. So did the exact same thing, took my acetate, placed it on top, went around it with the permanent marker, then placed it on top of the glitter, clear glitter, adhesive paper, just like I did the moon. I did this star, and cut it out. Now, when you are placing a shape that has very thin parts, when you place it down, you want to start in one spot where it's going to match and then just spread it down. It was a little tricky, and I will tell you, you can pull it up if it's not aligning exactly as you wanted. However, if you do that on this particular one, something may break off, and that point broke off, but because it's adhesive, you can just lay it down and it was just fine. So be patient with yourself if you try this technique, especially on this one. And I didn't add anything else. I thought this did a really nice job of duplicating what's going on in the front. You can see my white edge is narrower than it is on the front. And I didn't do the corner. I could have, but I kind of wanted to keep that art showing. This is another of the die cut, so I simply duplicated the Shine Bright and just did the shine and attached that, glued that in place. So you get the fun, something happening on the front and on the inside, which I think is really nice. Okay, here's the card that I was a little concerned I had gone over the top. So you can decide if I did, and I can handle it, it's okay. So this paper I love. Actually, I love this whole set. And it has, there you go, all of these partial circles. And I really wanted to take advantage of that. So first step, I thought, okay, let's make a circle card. So I took our circles and scalloped cutting dies. Now some are missing. That's because I left them out because I wanted to show you something. So actually the first step, let me step back, is you've got to make the circle card. So took our regular card and I took the largest circle, which is the 5 1/8 inch. And when you're doing that, let me take something apart here so I can show you. Okay, ignore the Scotch tape that's on there. Okay, so you want to place it so that it goes over the edge of the card. Obviously, you don't want to cut it. You'll have two circles. You still want to have a card. So place it like so, put it through your die cutting machine, and you're going to end up with, you just want to get it as far to the card as you can, but leave a little bit. So that's going to give you a card that's going to have a straight edge like this. But then you want to cover it up. So you can cut another one out of the paper, which is what I did. I centered it over here and glued that to the front. Then I wanted to make an edge, and I wanted to do something a little different. So that same 5 1/8 inch circle, okay, well, maybe that tape is not doing me any good at all. Okay, so placed it like so with the scallop on the inside. Now, what I wasn't sure when I was looking at that is, would there be enough for it to hold its shape? and there was. So usually we do a circle that looks like this, where the scallop is on the outside. So I reversed that and made one that would fit just around the edge of the card, like this. Whoops, this is a bigger one. So you don't want to do that one. You want to do the next size down. And so it did a couple of things. That piece of paper that I had was kind of flimsy along the edge. So by having the cardstock, the glitter cardstock on top, it made it stronger. And I really liked the look of it. It kept my circle, but it gave me a decorative edge. So I was pleased with that. That worked nicely. Now, let me tell you about the rhinestones. So I'm going to set those aside, and that was done with the pink glitter, as I'm sure you could tell. There you go. There's a big piece of it. Okay, now I wanted to do something with those lines, and I took our white gel pen and just went over them. And I thought, well, that's okay, but it's not really great, but it was fine. Then I went into crystals, and I have the raspberry crystals, and I chose those because they're the pink color. And I knew they were going to change a bit against this purple, but that was fine. This is also one of the die cuts, so that's foam taped in place. But to do this whole array of crystals, so let me just show you what I did. I'm not going to actually do it, but I'm just going to walk you through it. So you will need, as you might guess, the Cosmic Shimmer Specialist Glue. So this. Now, what I did was to place these crystals within the art, and I'm hoping you can see it. If you can't, just take my word for it. There are some circles in the art, and there's triangles, so I use those for my placement. So I pulled out these crystals, and they're in several sizes, so I kind of separated them. And the thing I learned is that all you need is the tiniest drop of this glue to hold these crystals in place. So I simply went around my card and just put a little dot, a little dot, a little dot, 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 dot the whole way. And then I came back with my jewel picker, which was brilliant, by the way. In fact, let me put a couple of these out here so you can see. And okay, so you can see there are a few different sizes. So then it was just so easy just to place them like that on the glue. And the glue, even though it was just wet, it was enough to hold it in place. Of course, right now I don't have any glue, so it isn't holding in place. But that just worked so nicely and so effectively. And I just want to get the crystals turned over, and then I can place them. And it went pretty quickly once I had decided I wanted to do that. And I did keep kind of going, well, I'll do one row, and then maybe I'll do an alternate row, and then maybe I'll do another one. And I just kind of ended with all of it in place. Now, if you can look closely, you can see there are some white circles. Well, I did that with the pen, the gel pen, but I didn't think they looked all that great, so then I covered them up with crystals. So forever ago, I did cake decorating, and one thing I remember is that when you had something you weren't really thrilled with, put a flower on it. So in this case, I put a crystal on it, so that worked. I did put some crystals here. You kind of can't see them real well, but in person, they look fun. So that worked nicely. Okay, let me scoot this out. Now, then I needed to do the inside. So when this was die cut, I had a piece left. Well, voila, that's going to go inside. And I overlapped two of the die cuts, simply glued them down. Again, you can use extra sticky tape. And I went back to those same silver pearl dazzles that I used earlier and just put them into the scallops all the way around. I just wanted to add something a little extra, and you'll notice that there are tiny jewel dazzles on the straight edges of that die cut. So that just gave me a little something more so that it would coordinate with the front of my card. Okay, so you can let me know if you think I went over the top or if it was okay, and we'll go from there. One more card for you, and I will show you the process that I did. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're enjoying why I did what I did and how that works. Now, because I did the circle, I really did want to do another shape. And the arch I absolutely love. So let me bring that package. Okay, here is the package. It's missing one. These are the nested arches, missing that one. And I wanted to make a shaped card. However, I also was looking at the die cuts, and this one caught my eye. Number one, I love the saying on it, but I also thought that would be fun, and maybe I would do a shaped card like this. But when I got it done, but before I put anything on it, I thought, well, why not put it this way? So that's why I did what I did, because I thought it was fun. Now, to make my card, I used the new tent cards. These are from Hunky Dory. This is the 7x5, and it just worked nicely. I simply placed, let me see, placed the die. So the 7x5 card, it's a tent card, so that's the score line and the fold. So I simply did just like what I do with the circle. I took the straight part and just off the edge of the card, you might want to put washi tape or something to hold it in place, and then simply ran it through the die cutting machine. Worked beautifully. I also went back to the silver glitter that I used earlier with that Shine Bright card and die cut one piece out of it. So with that, I had my card and I had a piece of the glitter, so that worked out well. Then I glued them together just for the front, and then I used my blending brush and I put this on my craft mat and did the process as you've seen. So tapping this and then going over the edge. And I don't know if you knew that you can color the glitter, but you can see that that worked out pretty nicely. Again, it just gave a border. And I went pretty far in, about a ½ an inch in, I really wanted the color to show. Okay, now the ribbon, of course, is the blue ribbon, and blue and silver is just a great combination, don't you think? And took one piece and glued that vertically. Horizontally, this is one of the die cuts. And so that's attached down, and this is foam taped. And I simply took the rest of the ribbon and just knotted it and zotted it in place. But I want to talk to you about these crystals. You see, I was on a crystal mission. And I have some things, some photos of things that I did that I didn't like. So if you'll just take a look at that. Okay, this is a die cut, and these are crystals. These are the blueberry crystals. So I started with this one, and I thought, oh, well, let's just hang this. But I didn't like it because there was all of this empty area that just didn't make any sense to me. So I scooted them off, and I did it this way. So maybe if I bring it closer, but that still, you know, gave me this empty area. And I liked this, but it didn't quite work. So then, yes, you can see, it took me a while. So I thought, okay, well, let's bring this over and maybe fill that space. And it did a little bit better. I put some star dazzles on that die cut. So then I did this, which brought me with the curve closer so that your eye is seeing everything together. And that worked. But then when I went to finish it, I decided to leave that little swirl off, even though I like doing it, and bring this closer to my die cut. And that's the final one. So you see, these things don't just go magically together. Sometimes you've got to glue and unglue. And I will tell you, I didn't change my card front. It was the same card front. I just would scrape the glue off and move on. So that worked. Again, tiny, tiny dots of the glue, and then just placing the crystals with your jewel picker, and that worked nicely. Now for the inside, I have another piece of this. I did do more of the inking. When you go to ink the inside, you probably are best to turn this, and then you can get all of the edges and you don't end up messing up the inside front of your card. So just a square. This too was inked a little bit lighter. I'm not even sure you can see the blue on camera, but it's there. And then 3 of the die cuts. So the oval placed the same way that the card is running, and then this little flag, and then this is foam taped on top, and goes my vertically and my horizontally. And that's the same thing that's going on in the front. I've got my verticals and my horizontals and my swirls all together. Okay, that's what I did. And this is all with the Midnight Jewels. This is a very good seller for us. In fact, let me get this back together. I love jewel colors, and I'm a big fan, as you are, of die cuts, just making it so much easier. And it was fun doing something different, and it was fun bringing in some shaped cards. And I hope you like my technique of the acetate and the glitter adhesive that just works so well in giving things extra shine. Okay, so that's Paulette's paper play for today. There is a money saver. I've put some extra things with this. It's over on the right side of your screen. I did write out all the directions. They're down below. Just click on them. You can print them off if you want to. All 4 cards are there. And if you are watching us on YouTube, I hope you will like us. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll come on over. Tell me what you think. If you like getting this kind of behind the scenes, I hope you do, because I'm planning on doing more of these. But do let me know. And again, you get to vote on if I was over the top on that one card. I can handle it, I assure you. And I want to thank you so very much for being part of our Paper Wishes family. We'll see you again.